You're listening to Breakfast with Pablo.
You're listening to Throwback Thursday, where each week we chat to a former reality TV star. And on the phone today, we have Sam Hooper from The Apprentice. Sam, good morning.
Good morning. How you going?
Very good. Now, you were on The Apprentice back in 2009. Does it feel like a lifetime ago that you were on our TV screens, or just the other week?
No, unfortunately, it's starting to add up a little bit now. So every year it gets further and further away, but still try to hold on to a little bit here and there, I guess.
Now, looking back on it, what made you decide to go on The Apprentice?
At the time, I was actually supposed to be studying for exams, so filling in an online form seemed like a better idea at the time, and it sort of got very serious very quickly.
So there was no. Did you just sort of stumble across it, or were you seeking out The Apprentice, or just coincidence?
No, I think I just saw it on daytime television and sort of then jumped online and then sort of next thing I knew, exams were all over and then I was shacked up in Sydney.
Now, had you been a fan of the original series in the US?
I had, yeah, and had all the DVDs and all that sort of stuff. So obviously there's a lot more theatre to the US, but I think we had a good crack at doing our own take in Australia.
Now, did your parents or friends give you any advice about going on reality TV?
My mother didn't really want me to do it. She didn't think it was a very good idea. But we all had a lot of fun along the way, I guess, and we look back at it now and everyone sort of enjoys having a laugh at my expense. Now,
was it everything that you expected, Sam?
Well, I don't think I knew what to expect, so it was obviously quite a surreal experience, and you sort of go into a world where everything you say and do is recorded or monitored by somebody else for what was effectively 2 months, it definitely wasn't what I expected.
How did you deal with people recognising you in your regular life after the show had gone to air? Now, have you watched much of your time on the show? Have you gone back and sat down and watched the episodes?
I watched I'd sort of watch every episode as it came on TV with all my mates down the pub, which was sort of the way of coping with it all. And I've probably watched it all again once or twice since, but I haven't watched it for a while.
Morello ended up winning The Apprentice. Do you think he was a pretty deserving winner? He
was, yeah. I sort of picked him from day one. And still speak to him most weeks to date. So he's a very close friend of mine.
Now, you were fired in week 7 of the show. Was that hard to deal with? Because you were quite young when you went on The Apprentice as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, when I sort of left home and headed over to Sydney, I sort of said to Mum and Dad, well, I could be home in a week, or I could be home in a month, or I could be home in a couple of years. So sort of gone for 7 weeks all up, and it was a lot of fun. And sort of the time when I went, well, I was ready to go. I think I'd gone as far as I could, and the particular episode I was just up against 2 better businessmen than me, and there was no hard feelings there at all.
Now, talking about where you are now, because after you got fired, Mr. Boris said to you that he wanted you to come into his office and talk to him after the series was over. Yep. Did that happen, and fill us into where you are now?
Yeah, it definitely did happen. So he flew me, once it was all finished, he flew me over to Sydney, and we had a sit down, a bit of a chat, and he basically said to me that he wanted me to come over to Sydney and work with him. There was basically 2 rules. One was that I had to continue my study, and the other one was that I had to have my family's blessings. So I went home and arranged all that, and was fortunate enough to spend all of 2010 living with Morello in Bondi. And the 2 of us both worked at the Yellow Brick Road with Mr. Brewers.
Wow, so I mean, so many doors open, and we've found that out a lot with people that go on reality TV shows, and just the connections that you meet. So, just an amazing opportunity for you at only 19.
It was, yeah. Made a lot of friends along the way.
Now, fill us into where you are now, Sam.
Yeah, so back home in Adelaide now, and finished all my studies at Adelaide Uni, and I'm now working as a lawyer at an Adelaide firm called Tyndall Gas Bentley. We've got an office now in Perth as well, so I spent a fair bit of time up in Perth last year and hoping to continue that this year as well.
Now, would you do it all again, or would you go on another reality TV show?
I don't think it's. I think it's something you do once in life. When people say, "Oh, would I recommend they do it?" I always say yes. But I think it's one of those things you can only do once.
Now, The Apprentice is a little bit different to some of the other reality TV shows like Big Brother, for example, where you just sat in a room and people watch you. Would you go on a show like that, or were you happy that you chose The Apprentice?
Yeah, I don't think I'd last very long on Big Brother. I'd probably get too bored. I think The Apprentice was a good one for me. I like some of the block and stuff like that, but even that looks a bit too stressful.
Now, last but not least, you said that you still keep in touch with Morel. Do you keep in touch with any of the other contestants from your series?
Oh, look, every now and then we'll sort of shoot an email to each other, or if we're in other states, we'll say g'day. But Morello's definitely the person I was closest with, and with his family as well. So every time I'm in Melbourne or there in Adelaide, we always try and catch up. So.
He's the one. Well, Sam, thanks so much for taking your time out today. And I know that if I ever need a lawyer, I've got you now direct phone line, so I'll hit you up, all right?
No worries at all, anytime.
Classic Gold, today's hits. Spirit.